there, it's Amy Donaldson with Amy D Coaching, and today we are talking about your listing presentation. So let me explain something. I'm just going to tell it how it is. When you go for a listing appointment, this is a job interview. So yes, absolutely do a formal listing presentation. I don't care if the listing presentation starts with, well, no, Mom, we need to sit down and go over everything just like I would with anybody else. And I'm not joking. If I were listing my mother's house, I would sit down and do a listing presentation with her. You have no idea how many times I hear people say, oh, I don't really do a listing presentation because I'm by referral only. On what planet does that make sense? First of all, the client deserves the best that you have to offer, and they deserve to understand the process. And I would say, especially your mother, like, don't you want her to have the absolute best care possible, like, regardless of whether it's selling her house or, you know, going to the dentist? I mean, I know I certainly want my mom to be taken care of, so when I'm the one doing work for her, I'm going to give her the white glove treatment. So I don't care if you work by referral only or you think you've already got the listing in the bag. I cannot tell you how many times when the beginning of my career, the majority of my listings were coming from for sale by owners. I cannot tell you how many listings I got where the homeowner initially thought they were going to list with a family friend. And the reason I was able to was all I needed to convince them was for them to interview me. Interview both of us, and if we're both the same, then, you know, I understand you already have a relationship with this person, blah, 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 blah. And I would show up with a proper formal listing presentation. I would give it my all. I would answer their questions. I would walk them through the process, would show them kind of what some of the most important things are. And then when they would go to interview their friend, the friend didn't have a listing presentation, would just show up with the contract expecting them to sign it. And it would make them feel nervous. They'd give me a call and say, yeah, it really wasn't the same. I mean, and wow. So that's the importance right there. You may not have it in the bag like you think. You may be close friends with someone. You may have been referred to someone. But until they've signed on the dotted line, you do not have the job. So yes, you're interviewing for a job. Do a proper listing presentation. Take some time to put your listing presentation together. A lot of companies now even offer a template or your basic starting ground. Some don't. If they don't, you're going to need to come up with this from scratch. Some of the most important elements is it should have some samples of your marketing, and it should go through the process of what it's going to look like to sell a home, right? So from once we sign the contract, here's when the photos are going to come. If you do a video, here's when the videographer is going to come. Here's the condition we need your house in for photo day. And then here's how long it's going to take from the time that the photographer shows up to when we have your marketing. I know for me personally, it takes about 24 to 48 hours to get the still photos back. Videos take a week. The really nice videos with drone footage and voiceover, you're not going to do that for every listing, but know, you know, what you're doing with this particular listing and how long it's going to take, and let them know what happens once the home goes on the market, especially an occupied home. Talk about how much time they need for showings. You know, if they work every day, 8 to 5, make sure they know that when they walk out the door at 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m., that their home is show ready, and then be crystal clear. Hey, do I have your permission to set appointments between this time? And if you're going to take the day off and be home, let me know. So you communicate the schedule, communicate open house schedules, and all of this should be in your presentation. So you can have in your presentation photo day, and it can be then blank from there, like X amount of time, and you can fill it in per listing if you want. You know, if you don't always do the exact same thing for everyone. So when you go through it, you can say, and in your case, it's going to take 7 days, right? And you're writing it down and going through it with them. And a great listing presentation also goes through the process. Once we have offers in on your home, you know, if we have multiple offers, we'll need to meet to go through them. If we just have one offer, this is the process for, you know, talk to them about electronic signing. See if that's something that they're comfortable with. See if that's something that they prefer, or if they prefer that you meet them in person. You also should have in there a conversation about how much time it should take. Every market is different, and even in different price ranges. So, I mean, I remember when it took years to sell a home during the recession, which arguably was more like a depression. But right now, homes, we often get multiple offers very, very quickly. So in that case, you want to make sure your clients know that if we're in a neighborhood and a price range where most homes are getting multiple offers within a couple days, we've been on the market a week or 10 days, we've overpriced it and it's time to do a price adjustment. You want to have that conversation at the listing presentation, not 2 weeks in, or even worse, a month or 2 months in, just go, oh, I didn't know how to tell you this, but I think we kind of missed the mark here. Because at that point, buyers out there are wondering what's wrong with that house, and you have done a very poor job as the fiduciary to your clients. So you want to make sure they understand. And also different price ranges, like there's certain price ranges in the luxury market that it does take a few months. So you want to make sure they understand that, hey, yeah, in some price points it's taking a few days. In your particular price point, it would be realistic that your house is on the market for about 45 to 60 days. If we're on the market longer than that, we might need to reevaluate either it's always either the price or the condition are pretty much the two things. So those are things that you want to talk about at your listing presentation. You want to talk about repair addendums. You want to talk about the condition of the house now and what we think could come up on the repair addendum. And if we want to get ahead of that, you want to make sure that their roof is clean, that the gutters are cleaned out, so that they're not being asked to hire a licensed contractor to pull a few leaves out of the gutter. Anything your seller wants to do on their own and wouldn't be willing to pay for should get done before listing. So those are some of the most important elements. It's just kind of like a roadmap, and then also your calendar, your preferred method of communication. Really, really want to understand what some people prefer phone calls and some people prefer texts. If your client prefers texting, they also need to know that at some point we're going to need conversations that are a little bit deeper than what texting will allow. So you prepare them for, once we're in contract, we're actually going to need to pick up the phone and have conversations just so we're crystal clear, because you're selling your house and this is a big deal. So listing presentations, I'm such a big fan that to me it's like duh. I mean it's like, would you do you need to brush your hair before you go on a job interview? Yeah. So do you need to do a listing presentation? Yes. You don't just assume you've got the job because it's your uncle's house.